Hey everyone, so today I'm out in the garden. It is very early spring and this is my raspberry patch that I've had here for about 5 years now, and I just kind of let it run wild, and I've been meaning to get to transplanting it over on the other side of the garden in its own little space in a row so that it's a little bit easier to maintain and so that it stops growing and taking over my rows here. I made a video last year showing us prepping the spot for these raspberries. So my husband tilled it all up last year, and then we put some compost down and we put some wood chips over on top and let it just sit like that all fall and winter long. And so now is the time that before these canes come out of dormancy, I need to get these transplanted. So these raspberries here, these raspberries are summer-bearing raspberries. There are two varieties. There are summer-bearing, and then there's the ever-bearing or a fall-bearing. I have the fall-bearing over there, but I'm not going to deal with those today. But these really need to be transplanted. So these are the summer-bearing, which means that you have your first year cane, which is a PRIMOCANE, and that is going to grow up the first year. They're going to be the green ones coming up, and they're not going to flower or fruit that first year. But those are the canes that are going to be fruiting the next year. So they'll become the FLORICANES, and then that second year cane is where you're going to see the flowers, and that's where you're going to get your raspberries from. So basically, after you get your raspberries off of that cane that year, then that raspberry is done for. You just need to go ahead and cut the cane out at the base as far down as you can get. We'll see how far I get on my own today. But I'm going to go through and try to dig up as many of these canes as I can to transplant over to my new patch over there. And then I'll also be cutting down the old canes that fruited last year and be getting rid of those. So I'll go ahead and just show you one of them. I'll show you an example. So you can see here, this is clearly one that fruited last year. Those are where the raspberries were. Follow that cane down to the base. That's one we definitely can cut out. Same with this one, because those had fruited last year, so those are done. And those ones are, you can actually see it getting more brown and more woody. So those are going to be the ones that are no good. Same with this one here. This one's getting a little woody on the top. Follow it down, we can cut that cane out. Same with this cane here. You can see the old growth, old berries and flowers from last year. So here's an example of, this is a PRIMOCANE. This will be, so this grew up, it was a green cane from last year. It just grew up and it did not flower. But this is where all these little buds, this is going to be growing out little side shoots here, and then that's where all your flowers and then eventually your berries will be. Anything that is really spindly and just not a good looking cane, any that are like really crooked and not really standing upright, I'm going to get rid of those to make way so that the really good FLORICANES can really flourish and produce a lot of berries. And then on these really tall ones, they say to prune off the top only enough so that it's 5 to 6 feet tall. So not very much, because the higher up on the cane, the more fruit you get. So you really don't want to take a lot off. But that one is literally like, I don't know, like 10 feet tall, the one up there. So we are going to crop a little bit off of the tops of the really tall ones. But other than that, that is how the basics of how you prune your summer-bearing raspberries. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and get to cutting. So I just wanted to mention I am using these big clippers for this. I'm only doing that because I couldn't find my hand pruning shears, but this is a little bit overkill for that. You definitely could use handheld ones. And then it's also really good to wear a pair of leather gloves if you have a thorned variety of raspberries to protect your hands, and wear long sleeves as well. When you're transplanting them, is to cut them shorter if you're transplanting the canes, and then it'll help the plant focus more on producing the roots rather than trying to bury that year. Also, a lot of the canes are kind of all clustered together there, so when I go and transplant it, if there's canes that are all together and gonna just stay that way, I'm just gonna take the whole clump and transplant the whole clump. I'm not gonna try to just get the one cane out, and that'll be just fine. Also, one more thing I was gonna say is that make sure when you're transplanting your raspberries to do this in the very early spring or the very late fall when your plants are dormant and they don't have any growth going on. It increases the chance of them surviving the transplant and thriving well. Raspberries are pretty resilient, so you don't have to worry about it too much. I do know people have transplanted in the summer, but it takes a lot of extra care and a lot of attention with water, so it is really best to do it in their dormant season. So yeah, we have a lot of work here to do. I'll go ahead and get started and we'll see how far we can get today. The old ones. These are the 2 flowering canes. So as you can see, we did the wood chips very deep, and that way it'll keep down any of the weeds trying to get through. So I'm just pulling back the wood chips here, and I don't want to plant into the wood chips because that's not good for the plant. That will just suck the nitrogen right out. But I am going to dig a little hole in here, plant it in there, and then I'll push some of this back around the plant. So you don't want to bury it really deep, but you just want it to be just level with the canes here where the dirt is here. So just kind of get it about right and then fill the dirt in around it. There you go. All right. Gently push the mulch back over it. There, we got one done, and then we'll go as far down the line as we can go. think I'm gonna stop there today. I got a little bit more than halfway done with this row. It went a little faster than I was expecting. So that's what we got done today. We still have a little bit more to go, but I think that'll be good for today. Okay, so it's the next day, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this row finished off today. Hopefully we'll get it all done, and then I decided that one of the rows that I have left in the garden, my main canes that were the original row that I started in, those are the really big ones. I'm gonna leave them in the garden where they are this year. That way I can get a lot of berries from them, in case, because I don't think these are going to be giving me much fruit. But yeah, so they say it's really good to just lop off the tops, make them really short when you transplant them. So you're not going to get probably any berries this year, but it will focus the attention onto the roots, and the plant will be healthier for it. It'll produce an even bigger harvest the following year. So it depends what you're going for. I think I'm going to do that for most of them. I think I decided that there'll be some of them I'm going to leave the full length just to see what happens and see if I can get berries off of it. It'll just be a good experiment. But I think for the most of them I am going to end up lopping them down here. Okay, so I'm going to go back and dig up the rest of the plants that I need to transplant over here and see if we can get this done today. I didn't do this yesterday, but I decided to get some water in a tote because I don't have any water in the garden yet. It's not set up yet, so I'm just gonna dunk these, make sure they're really saturated before I plant them this time. Yeah, as I said, I didn't do that yesterday, but I did water them in. But I think this will be just a little bit more helpful. All right, so we'll do that. And we'll start planting here. Yep, it's snowing. It just won't stop. This happened yesterday too. When I was done, it started snowing again. Okay, it is all done. Got the last of the rows. I got the last of the row transplanted. Here they are. Alright, well, I'm all done. We got it. We got the whole row put in. I'm so happy that that's done. I have a lot of canes left in the regular garden. So we'll see what else I'm gonna do with them. I'll have to try to give them away, or maybe sell some, or I might start a whole new row. And then I'm gonna leave the nice, really big ones in there to get fruit from this year. But they're all planted, so I think the next thing I gotta do is lop them, cut them down. So I'm just going to take off this whole top part here. I'm leaving them a little longer than they suggest, just an FYI, so you can make that decision for yourself if you're doing this. But I'm gonna go right above, there's a little node here, and you wanna cut right above that. So that's all I've been doing here. In case you have really high winds where you live, or really strong storms, this would really help not have the plant get taken over with the wind, since the roots are freshly planted and just getting established. So this will help with that. Okay, so I stopped there and I'm gonna just leave this end not cut, and I'll see if I get a lot of berries on it this year or not. We'll see how they do, and I'll keep you updated on that. I have all the rest of them all cut back, and we'll see how they do this year. Okay, so thank you for joining me out here today as I transplanted all my raspberries. They're finally all done, the whole row is in, and I'm so happy about that. So I hope this gave you a little inspiration to get to transplanting your raspberries if you need to do it, and also just a few tips and tricks along the way. And thanks so much for joining. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. That really helps us out. Leave a comment below. Let me know how things are going on your homestead or in your garden, wherever you live. And I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. All right, we appreciate you watching. We'll see you on the next video. Take care and God bless.